Welcome to qnawire.
Okay, question 2 is asking us to explain whether each of the following events increases, decreases, or has no effect on the unemployment rate and the labor force participation rate. So first of all, we have to know, we can just write down the definition of unemployment rate. Unemployment rate. So the unemployment rate is the number of people unemployed. So unemployed people divided by labor force. Labor force. I just write labor force here. And what is the labor force participation rate? So the labor force participation rate is the number of labor force divided by the number of total adults. So it is going to be labor force divided by total number of adults. So I just write adults here. Okay, so we can take a look at question A. So after a long search, John finds a job. So I will write so this is the unemployment rate here, and this is the labor force participation rate. So after, say, question A, so after a long search, John finds a job. So that means the people of unemployed decrease, right? Because John used to be unemployed, but now he finds a job. He is employed. So the denominator decrease while the numerator decrease while the denominator stays the same. So the unemployment rate goes down. What about the labor force? The labor force stays the same because the labor force participation rate is the same because labor force doesn't change and the total number of adults doesn't change. Okay, so question B is saying that Tyrion, a full-job college student, graduates and is immediately employed. So say he used to be a student, so he's not part of unemployed, but he joins the labor force. So labor force increased, so the unemployment rate decreased. So what happens to the labor force participation rate? So labor force goes up, and the adult number doesn't change because college student is already an adult. So say labor force participation rate goes up. All right, C. After an unsuccessful job search, Arya gives up looking and retires. So what is going to happen to the number of people unemployed? So the number of people unemployed doesn't change because she is unemployed and she doesn't find a job. So it's the same. But what if she retires? Retires means that she is not part of the labor force anymore. So the number here goes down. So this unemployment rate will go up. What about the labor force participation rate? So say this labor force number goes down and the total number of adults doesn't change. So labor force participation rate goes down. Okay, D. Daenerys quit her job to become a stay-at-home mom. So Okay, I think I need to erase all this. So a stay-at-home mom, I would say she is not part of the labor force. So if we take a look at, okay, I'll use color green here. That's question D. So the unemployed number doesn't change. What about the labor force? So if she decides to be a stay-at-home mom, the number of labor force decrease. So the unemployment rate is going to go up. So what about the labor force participation rate? This goes down, and then the number of adults doesn't change, so this goes down as well. All right, what about question A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H? Okay, so we still have 4 questions rated here. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay, question E, Sansa has a birthday and she becomes an adult but has no interest in working. So so she becomes an adult, so we can know for sure that the number of adults goes up. But what about the labor force participation? She has no interest in working, so she is not part of the labor force, so this doesn't change. So we can know that labor force participation rate goes down. But what about the unemployment rate? So labor force doesn't change, but unemployment rate also doesn't change. So unemployment rate stays the same. Okay, F, Jamie has a birthday, becomes an adult, and starts looking for a job. So in this scenario, it is different because, okay, now also the number of adults goes up, but the labor force also goes up because Jamie is looking for a job. But whereas here, labor force goes up, right? And unemployment also goes up because Jamie now he is unemployed. So what happens if unemployment number goes up and labor force also goes up? So here I provide a simple way to calculate this. So say this is to one half now. What if we add the numerator and denominator by 1? It is going to be 2/3, right? And 2/3 is greater than the original number 1/2. So we can know that if the numerator and denominator both go up by 1 unit, this number as a whole is going to go up. So the same here, this number is going to go up. So the answer to question F is up and up here. Okay, question G. Cersei dies while enjoying retirement. So let's erase these again. So, oh, it's a little bit messy. Okay, I'll use color blue for the final 2 questions. So Cersei dies while enjoying retirement. So since she retired, so she's not unemployed and she's not part of the labor force. So her employment rate doesn't change. So she's not part of the labor force, and but she is one of the adults, but she dies. So the number of adults goes down. So the labor force participation rate goes up. Okay, final question. Jorah dies working long hours at the office. So the number of unemployed doesn't change, but the number of labor force decrease because he dies from working, right? So the unemployment rate goes up. While what happens here is labor force goes down and the number of adults goes down. So what if the numerator and denominator both decrease by 1 unit? It is going to make the number smaller, so it is decreasing here.